Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's third and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days for today's third and final video. And that will take us to around the 18th of May. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensembles over to around a couple of weeks. So we'll look at CFSV2 at the end of the video for June. And we'll begin by having a look at the weather for this day 75 years ago on the 8th of May 1945, which of course is a day that we're all thinking about and commemorating today, the 75th anniversary of the E-Day. So I hope you're having a nice time, whatever you're doing for this Bank Holiday Friday and for this day of remembrance and commemoration. Of course, not as much going on in terms of events as there would have been if it hadn't been for the coronavirus. But nevertheless, we've got the day itself, and I'm sure we're all thinking about what this day means in terms of what happened 75 years ago and the sacrifices that were made. So I'll show you those charts anyway from the 8th of May 1945 as we start the video. But before I do anything else, I'm going to say a big thank you to our latest YouTube channel member. So I'm going to say big thank you to Living the Somerset Life. Thank you so much, Living the Somerset Life, for becoming Gazworthy's latest YouTube channel member. We opened up the channel to membership a couple of weeks ago, and it's really been a phenomenal response so far, actually. Really blown away by how many of you have signed up for channel membership. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. If you'd like to become a channel member for Gazworthy, all you need to do is click the join button on the Gazworthy YouTube homepage, or with the videos, and that take you through to another page where you can see what benefits you get for becoming a Gazworthy YouTube channel member. And you can also sign up as well. If you can't see the join button, and some people can't on mobile and tablet devices, then the workaround is to have a look at the description with the videos, and there'll be a link that takes you to the join page. We also linked it on the homepage at gazworthy.com as well. So a big thank you to all of our YouTube channel members, a big thank you to all of our patrons, big thank you to all of our donors as well, special thank you to Living the Somerset Life. Just to say that the two videos released so far, Dave, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. JMA Friday was first video up, and also we've brought back the European Outlook. So first weekend forecast for Europe since January 2016, can you believe? It's been over 4 years since we've done a European Outlook. Yes, have a look at that. We're trying out new things and, bringing back old favourites as well. Last night we released a weekend forecast for the United States of America. These are going to be weekly features, both the European weekend forecast and also the United States forecast. There'll be a weekly, regular edition. Certainly for the next few weeks and months as we try it out and see how it goes anyway. So they'll be on YouTube, but we won't be embedding those to Gazworthy.com for the time being. So if you want to see those two videos, you'll have to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then you'll be notified when we release the American weekend forecast on a Thursday night and the European Outlook on a Friday morning. So Thursday night for America, Friday morning for Europe. And as I say, our promise to you through this crisis that we're going through, and for the support that you've given us, which is absolutely amazing, absolutely phenomenal. Our promise to you is that we're going to keep recording, we're going to keep uploading, we're going to keep live streaming, and we're going to keep trying out new things and bringing back old favourites. And hopefully we'll all get through this coronavirus together. I'm sure we will. And just thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, let's have a look at the charts 1945. And so we say we're in crisis, we are in crisis, but I mean, there were harder times years ago, back in the World Wars, of course. And on this day in 1945, the Second World War was ending, and so that's why 75 years on today we have our bank holiday, and we've also got a day of remembrance and reflection and of commemoration. And this is how the weather was looking across Europe on this day of the E-Day. So we've had a large area of high pressure sitting across many northern and eastern parts of Europe and Central Europe. Low pressure was out in the Atlantic, and we was drawing up this very warm southerly wind actually across the western part of Europe. This looks quite hot. Have a look at the upper air temperatures. You can see that actually, yes, it was a pretty hot day with a 10 Celsius isotherm there pushing northwards across the UK. I'm sure that would have lifted temperatures at least into the mid-20s Celsius. Might have been a bit of volatility, might have been one or two heavy showers or thunderstorms breaking out, but certainly that's certainly a very warm-looking chart for VE Day back in 1945. So the sun was shining, I'm sure, down on everyone as the Second World War finally came to an end, and that's how the weather was shaping up on this day 75 years ago. A warm southerly flow, temperatures probably into mid-20 Celsius, but no doubt would be the chance of one or two thundery showers as well. So, of course, we've got another bank holiday coming up at the end of the month, and for that one, we're going to be looking at, we're going to be doing the third historic weather video in the trilogy of the Frozen 40. So you remember on Christmas Day, we did 1939-1940, the first winter of the Second World War. Then we did 1940-41 on Easter Monday, and for the late spring bank holiday Monday, which is going to be in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks on Monday, I think. For that, we're going to be doing 1941-1942, the third part of the trilogy of very cold winters from the Frozen 40s. So that will be with you in a couple of weeks' time. We may do another historic video following on from that at some point, looking at the last winter of the Second World War, 1944-1945, because that one was also quite interesting. Let me know if you'd like me to do, I suppose it would be like a little bit of an epilogue, really, just bring to an end the Frozen 40s trilogy, and maybe we'll do a little bit of epilogue, having a look at the last winter of the Second World War, 1944-1945, at some point in the future. Let me know if you'd like to see that. Right, moving on with the video then, and of course it's a day that many people are going to be stuck indoors, but it is a bank holiday, so people are probably able to get out about into their gardens anyway, and it's looking nice and warm out there at the moment. 23 degrees is latest, flashing away there from Exie, where we've got 23 degrees at Norwich, we've got 23 degrees at London Heathrow, and we've also got 23 degrees at London City Airport as well. It's not as warm as that far north, across Kirkwall Airport, only 10 degrees there, and a lowly 10 degrees at Wick. Those temperatures are going to drop, if anything, as we go through the weekend, and we'll find that colder air plunging south across the country. We've been highlighting this a lot recently. So yes, colder air will be plunging southwards across the country as we go through the weekend, and I will think by Sunday we'll probably be seeing maximums in the far north of Scotland no better than around 6 or 7 degrees with a biting northerly wind. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're at Taunton down in Somerset today, because of course we started with our latest Gaz Weather, this YouTube channel member, living the Somerset life, and I thought we'd have a look at somewhere in Taunton, or in Somerset, which I've picked out as Taunton, for this ensemble section of the video. So, I'm not sure if this is where living the Somerset life is, but hopefully it'll be reasonably, close to living the Somerset life's location. So, here we go then, and we're going to start off warm on average, significantly so actually, at the moment. Temperatures, upper air temperatures well above average, but a crash in the temperature is on the way. I've been talking about this a lot in the videos lately. Temperatures are really going to do a plummet as we go through the weekend into the early part of next week. So wintry showers by Sunday in the north, probably snow coming down to low levels across the northern parts of Scotland, and I would suspect there'll be some quite significant overnight frost as well, particularly as we go into the early part of next week and think winds begin to fall light. Now through next week we do see a very, very slow and gradual recovery in the temperature. It is a slow old process, and we're only really going up close to average by the look of it, although there are one or two hot outliers beginning to appear right at the very end of the ensemble. But really it looks like after the plummet, after the plunge, we only claw our way very gradually back up to near normal temperatures as we go into the middle part of the month. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather to come. This drop in temperature will be associated with a risk of heavy showers for more central northern areas today, tomorrow, and then down in the south on Sunday. After that, it goes pretty dry. Second half of May could turn more unsettled. We might bring some wetter weather in through the second half of the month. This was something that was showing up within JMA Friday as well. The third week of the month might go a little bit more unsettled. And so we do see more precipitation spikes than we've had for a while there for Taunton into the second half of May. Bear in mind, though, that is very extended range stuff, so it's unreliable time frame type stuff with both GFS and its ensemble. But it is a little bit interesting and backs up slightly what we saw within JMA Friday, which was the chance of a wetter, more unsettled third week of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 8th through to the 16th of May are going to be below average and colder than average week coming up. That, of course, is because we're going to have a plummet in the temperatures, and we're going to bring in biting Arctic northerly winds to the far north of the country. Precipitation anomalies from the 8th to the 16th of May, drier than average. So it's going to be pretty chilly but dry in the next week. That's how the GFS is looking for Monday. So on Monday, we're pulling in these cold northerly winds, northeasterly winds, and high pressure closer, so it won't be particularly unsettled, but you'll certainly notice the drop in the temperature. Now, through the middle of next week, that high pressure starts to cut off that northerly. So by day, temperatures will start to recover. By night, still cold into the middle of next week, and then the second half next week is likely to draw in the air from a more easterly direction, and that should bring some warmer temperatures with it. But watch out for this low pressure across France. That could well threaten some heavy rain, maybe some thunder across more southern parts of the country into the second half of next week. Then as we move up towards day 10, we start to find a little bit more mobility coming in to weather pattern. We have got a ridge to our south, which should be quite a warmish ridge, bringing a reasonable amount of dry warm weather to the south, more unsettled up in the north. But as we saw on the GFS ensembles a moment ago, it does then start to turn more unsettled through that third week of May. We begin to bring low pressure in from off the Atlantic with showers, if not some longer spells of rain. The GM looks like that. So again, high pressure is out to our west. We bring down quite a cold northerly wind on Monday, a cold start to next week. But GM maintains that high pressure out to the northwest, interestingly, through to the middle of next week. So no particular recovery in temperature actually with the GM. Would stay quite cold right way into the second half of next week with a lot of northern blocking. Eventually, the GM does begin to move weather systems in from off the Atlantic, so the wind turns round to the southwest, temperatures start to pick up, but it would turn more unsettled as well with low pressure, bringing showers and longer spells of rain. And we've got the ECMWF again. High pressure is out to our northwest. We're bringing in these northerly winds around the eastern side of the high pressure on Monday, so a cold start next week. Then the high so sinks down over the country. We cut off the northerly, but it will be cold, particularly by night, with risk of some quite significant overnight frost. Into the middle part of next week, in the second half of next week, high pressure sticking very close to us, so a lot of dry weather to come next week, and temperatures gradually staging a recovery. Now, as we move up towards next weekend, 16th, 17th of May, the high pressure starts to go northwards again, starts to push back towards Iceland and Norway. Low pressure develops to our south. We start to pull in this colder east to northeasterly wind, or certainly cooler east to northeasterly wind. So this is a little bit different again as we move into the second half of the month with the ECM. This is keeping things really quite chilly up to day 10. Certainly chilly, maybe quite cold actually, with those northeasterly winds. Not particularly wet. Low pressure is kind of over France, Germany, low country, so we're not bringing much in way of rain in, but it's just a very chilly, probably quite cloudy east to northeasterly wind that the ECM is setting up there, with the high pressure becoming like a northern blocking feature around Iceland and extending back into the Arctic. This is a precipitation type forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. We've got plenty of dry weather at the moment, but we may spark off one or two showers later this afternoon, particularly Wales, the Midlands to East Anglia. They'll be quite well scattered. If you catch one, you'll probably know about it. Could be a rumble of thunder mixed in. More general rain coming into Scotland tomorrow. That's on the cold front, of course. It's going to provide the plunge in the temperature. Ahead of that, some heavy showers break out across northern England, Northern Ireland, possibly Wales, and into the northwest Midlands. There could be some thunder associated with that. And then the cold front comes southwards, of course, overnight Saturday into Sunday. By Sunday, the cold front gets a little bit stuck down in the south, and there could be some quite heavy showers across more southern parts of the country on Sunday. So the south and southeast probably gets greater greatest risk of rain from this transition from warm to cold on sunny. Behind that, of course, it turns drier, brighter, but also colder. Wintry showers coming into the north and east of Scotland. Snow down to low levels potentially across the northern parts of Scotland, despite the fact that it's the 10th of May. Into next week, those wintry showers could continue very early on down the east coast, but basically they fade away, and then we're looking at lots and lots of dry weather through next week as high pressure will be in control. There's very little in the way of rain coming up next week until very late on towards day 10. We pick up that strong northeasterly and we start to bring in some cloud and possibly some showers into more eastern parts of the coast. But essentially, once sunny is out of the way, next week is looking mostly dry. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 18th of May. Have 33 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our north, and we're bringing in east to northeasterly winds. So mainly dry, but as we saw, we are on the operational run, we are bringing in that northeast wind. These options do include the operational run, by the way. So bringing in those northeasterly winds by day 10, mainly dry, but quite chilly. And then we have 18 members of the ECM ensembles just here with high pressure, more centred over top of the country. That's mainly dry again and should be warmer as winds are like southerly to southwesterly. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is getting us to the 23rd of May. We have 31 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure sitting over and just to the north of the country, still bringing in like an easterly wind, but that should be warmer. It's less of a northeasterly influence, I think, with that, and a lot of dry weather with that as well. 20 members of the ECM ensembles, perhaps just hinting at a little bit of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, a little bit of low pressure, so maybe slightly more showery, but should be particularly cold, probably quite mild. Nothing too dramatic showing up with the ECM ensembles in either the 10-day or 14-day period. And lastly, for this video, we're going to have a look at the CFS V2 for June. So these are 700 millibar heights for June. This is a 700 millibar height anomaly for June. And look at this, it's going for an anticyclonic month now. Above average height centred over the UK and actually into Northern Europe as well. Low pressures out here, we've got these blue colours. Winds should be coming in from like an east to southeasterly direction, and that could be a very warm June. Actually, that could be the kind of pattern that was set up a hot month in June. Temperature anomalies are above average, as you'd expect given the pattern. We've got those red colours there, not just for the UK but also covering many western parts of Europe on the anomaly scale. That's like 1 to 2 degrees above average, so it's a very warm month. And precipitation is no signal, but of course with high pressure ruling the roost in June, you would expect a mostly drier than average month. Now that's only one run from the CFS, but it is interesting because it ties in with the Beijing Climate Centre, which we looked at in the last few minutes of yesterday's week's 10-day update. We looked at the Beijing Climate Centre. That's hinting at higher pressure through the early part of June. And we did pick up on this a little bit with JMA Friday as well, which is just now beginning to extend into the early part of June. Now, just a few hints there in JMA Friday of something more anticyclonic and possibly warmer or hotter through the early part of June. And the CFS overall is looking really quite anticyclonic and potentially quite hot for June. So could it be that we're going to get to the start of summer 2020 and it'll be a case of here we go again, off and running into another spell of very warm / hot weather and mainly dry, which is something that we've seen quite a bit of. Certainly in 2018, last year, of course, we had a wet June and it wasn't particularly warm, but certainly in 2018 we had a very hot June. Could it be that we're going to start moving in that direction again? Very, very early days on that, but there's just 1 or 2 hints beginning to appear that we may have a very warm start to the summer of 2020 coming up. We shall see. Right, that's it for your videos for today. Now, videos updates going to continue over the weekend, of course. So tomorrow we've got weekend forecast, have another week's 10-day update as well tomorrow, and I think in the evening we will begin the countdown to the late spring bank holiday weekend, which I talked about at the start of the video, where we're going to have our third part of our Frozen 40s historic video. So we'll begin the countdown to late spring bank holiday weekend tomorrow, as well as weekend forecast, and also a week's 10-day video update. On Sunday we'll start with summer analogues. We're looking at April precipitation this time following on from last week when we looked at the April CT. We'll also have Gaz Rubby's Sunny Roundup, of course, with all of the usual features in that one, and there'll be a live stream at 5 o'clock. Will we be talking about snow falling somewhere in the UK on the 10th of May in that live stream? We shall see. Right, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday Friday, and the continuing commemorations and remembrance for VE Day and for the war. And that's it for now, though. So enjoy the rest of your bank holiday Friday. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.